All these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not be eager to enter a long trade.
Hello crypto friends, checking in on the action as we just saw a big spike on Bitcoin. So what does that mean in terms of the bounce and follow through and trends and all that? We're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Iota, XLM, EOS, Neo. Those are the highest voted by our members, and going to add some more altcoins to tomorrow's video as well. So we're going to start one of the weekly time frames as these weekly candlesticks are coming to a close. We're looking for Bitcoin to form a higher low compared to the 5,700 level. Been saying that for a while now, but obviously it got a lot closer to that level than we would have anticipated due to the news of the ETF delay. Certainly didn't help, added some magnified action to the downside. So the bulls are trying to defend the 6,000 psychological level. We obviously need a significant bounce on the daily time frame and some trend changes on the 4-hour time frame in order for our weekly higher low to be set. And for this to be a weekly equilibrium, for the bulls to save it here, these bulls are going to have to make their way back up to around the $7,300 range for me. And we'll be looking for a weekly lower high somewhere in that low 7,000 range if we're going to form a weekly equilibrium. Again, we need more proof on the shorter term time frames like the 4-hour and the daily to see that follow through. We are currently $900 away. That's roughly 14% or so. So the daily time frame, still a lower high pattern every single day for the last 6 days has been a lower high. But we have another daily inside bar forming. Our daily inside bar broke bearish right after I posted my video as speculated. I have no idea what that pattern is, but certainly getting a little bit too convenient. And again, my videos are posted at different times. It's not like it's the same time every day. Anyways, we had this little double bottom, 6,010, 6,008, happened right around at the same time when that candlestick transferred over, but still lower highs. So bulls still need proof. Absolutely big bull move out of nowhere, and it really happened on the short-term time frames, really in 5 minutes. We'll look at that in a second. If you missed this bull move, then that's, no big deal whatsoever. You shouldn't beat up on yourself. I've been in meetings all day and all weekend, and I, of course, did not catch that move at all because it happened in 5 minutes. And let's go look back at, what could some clues have been if you were sitting at the computer or where you could have placed some stop buys. Again, I haven't liked stop buys in this environment. So for me to just say, oh, well, you should just put your stop buy here and you would have been in the trade, easy peasy. That's not really the truth because stop buys haven't really had a ton of follow through in the past, weeks or however long we've been in the downtrend. So on the 4-hour time frame, I'm still watching lower highs. Right now I'm looking at Bitcoin on Bitfinex because there's a little gap in data because of Coinbase going down the other day. So I'm going to stick to Bitfinex for now for more complete data. But there's some lower highs here at 63, or make that 65.37 and 66.28. Anything under those levels is just another lower high. So we have to keep that in mind. Yes, the bulls saw a nice solid move, but they are not changing this 4-hour trend. What I need for a change in this 4-hour trend is a higher low and a higher high. And we're in a good position right now for the bulls to potentially pull that off. And why I say that is, number one, obviously the size of this move. We are going to look for a higher low to form on this consolidation. The other little move that we did see for the bulls the other day, it wasn't really, that bull break. Whenever I see a bull break of a lower high pattern, I always look at the proximity of the next resistance behind it. So how far away? So the resistance here was 63.85. And the next couple of resistance levels were 65.38 and then all the way up at 7,150. So those resistance levels are spaced out because these little bounce attempts were very small and very brief. Whereas these bounce attempts that we're watching are a little bit bigger. And in my opinion, I look for that to happen because if we were to pull back and form a 4-hour higher low and then break these resistances, we would take out 3 previous lower highs in one go. And that would get us over these exponential resistances, and we would see the bull MACD cross get followed through. So that's something that I do note. Where are the previous resistance levels? The more we can take out on one bull move, the more significant it is. So I would love my ideal setup right now. Give me some healthy consolidation. Give me a 4-hour higher low, not pulling back below the low 6,200s. That would be too much. We need to hold on to this move. Ideally, let's call it 62.50. If the bulls can form a higher low right around this area and then see continuation. Essentially, it's an inverse head and shoulders pattern that I'm looking for now that I think about it. Left shoulder, head, give me a right shoulder, and a break of these lower highs. And it was the inverse head and shoulders pattern where we got our previous breakout. I believe it was on the daily time frame right there. So here it is on the daily. Left shoulder. right shoulder, or head and then right shoulder. And then the breakout was, look at these resistances lining up. So we had 1, 2, 3 little resistances all in a row, took them all out on one candlestick. So that is significant. And I'm glad I do these videos, because that's the kind of thing where I talk about, you know, teach people, get out of your head, get onto paper, get onto videos, whatever. When I'm doing this analysis in my head, that's the first time I've verbalized this ever, that's something I look for on a pattern. And now that I'm hearing myself say it, it solidifies it more in my brain. And now I'm going to be watching for that setup more often in the future. So live learning, Charting Man Dan. So clear lower highs, we're looking for the higher low to form. The hourly time frame, inside bar currently forming, healthy consolidation. Right now, shorts are re-entering positions. We've been seeing shorts cover significantly for some time. Here's another thing that I am noticing. We started seeing the most significant short coverage that we had seen on this entire bull move, and it occurred long before this bull move just happened. So I'm going to start paying attention now. When we see the shorts get extremely high and we see the shorts start to cover before there's a bull move, should that tell me to pay attention to a bull move incoming? This is one example. Obviously, one example is not enough to make a pattern, but this is now something in the future that I'm going to be looking for and potentially applying in my analysis. So we have the shorts covering. They're extremely oversold now at this point. I would expect the shorts to start building again. I don't really look at the hourly RSI too much. I like to look at it comparative to what's gone on in the past, but this hourly RSI just dropped off a cliff. So we're going to look for some shorts to potentially build a position back up, which might give us that right shoulder on Bitcoin. So we'll see how this hourly inside bar breaks. We're going to look for the hourly exponential moving averages. That would be an ideal level. So I roughly visualize 6250. But if we can hold the hourly exponential moving averages on this consolidation to give us a right shoulder, then that would be healthy consolidation that would keep the bulls alive for that break and follow through. And that would essentially be the psychology of a cup and handle pattern on the hourly. Left side of resistance, which is one of our 4-hour lower highs. Right side of resistance, unable to break it. Healthy consolidation in a handle pattern. And then the breakout. So this little mini cup and handle pattern is essentially the head of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. So there's all kinds of things to be looking at today. 15-minute time frame. So how could we have anticipated this move? Again, it came out of nowhere. It's not an easy move to catch. But in hindsight, we can look for little clues. What were some signals? So first off, we had the alert system on Coinbase caught the abnormal volume during this consolidation. In previous videos, I have said how, you know, abnormal volume spikes on the 15-minute time frame are very normal when you're seeing significant price movement, significant volume. When it's not normal and when it's notable is when we get abnormal volume alerts when we're trading sideways and the price is not seeing a lot of movement. So we did get a couple of those on Coinbase, but not on the other exchanges like Binance, which has high volume. So I'm wondering, again, this is something I'm thinking out loud in these videos, and there's already multiple things that I'm now going to be observing these patterns in the future. But here's where our abnormal volume alerts went out. The first one went out here over an hour before the breakout occurred because we were having a tug of war going on. These wicks, these upper wicks are the bulls trying to push through and the bears knocking it down every time. So this volume is showing there's a battle going on. It could also be interpreted as some accumulation. Perhaps bulls are seeing some accumulation, and that alert went out without a ton of price action in terms of breaking supports or resistances. And then the second alert went out. The first one went out at about 61.37 or so, the price level. The second one went out when the breakout actually took place. That happened at 6,187, and that was at, let's see what time, 17:15. So obviously, this is the kind of move where you're not going to be able to react to this abnormal volume alert. By the time if you're not at your computer, you get this alert, you run to your computer, the price is already $300 higher. So it was the early signal. Some other things that we look at, how could we pick out little clues? It's almost like that game where you're looking at two pictures next to each other and you're trying to pick out the differences, the little miniature differences in the illustration. So what was the notable pattern here on the 15-minute time frame before the action took place? And again, yes, this is in hindsight, and it's a lot easier to pick this stuff out in hindsight. Doing it live while it's happening is a step up. It takes a lot more skill and a lot more practice and a lot more observation. But we have the left side, or I should say the lower high pattern on the 15-minute time frame showing clear upper wicks where the bears knock the price down from the bulls making attempts. So there's 3 clear lower highs at this point. Every single time we see that bull candlestick, we see a lack of follow through. The next candlesticks are seeing lower highs or here was an example of 3 in a row, pretty much topping out, and then a pullback, and then lower highs and continuation. Here's another one, big upper wick, next candlesticks, lower highs, 3 in a row. Big upper wick, we had an inside bar, the bulls tried to hold on, they kept with it, fell back down again, another big upper wick. We did take out some resistances on this 4th wick, again, didn't see follow through, but what's the difference? There started to be a difference, and it started to be, we could see clear pullbacks with lower highs and lower lows on the first rejection and the second rejection. The third rejection, we had sideways trading. The 4th rejection, real short-term sideways trading, and then bull follow through. So at this point, as after the sideways trading and the fact that the bulls made it right back up to the resistance level, that hasn't really happened at any other previous attempt. So it's a very insignificant difference, what might seem insignificant, really small on the short-term time frames. But obviously we saw a huge follow through with it. So there were a couple early signals. They were very hard to catch. And right now the trade is being patient for the bulls to establish a new base of support. And ideally the psychology of what's going to go on right now is a bit of a bear trap if the bulls are going to come out of this by changing this 4-hour trend. And the psychology right now is the bears saying, you know, okay, we've seen this before. We've seen 4-hour rejections from exponential resistance a half dozen to 8 times in the past week plus, and it's been money for the bears. So right now the bears are likely, I'm looking for this shorts chart to start bouncing soon, because I'm anticipating the bears are going to start knocking down the price again, saying, all right, this is just another 4-hour lower high. We've played this game, let's play it again. And they're going to consolidate a little bit, giving them a little bit of comfortability. And then if the bulls can turn that around and say, nope, you're trapped, break these resistances, that's when we see a little bit of extra push. So if we can start to see some shorts climb on some healthy hourly consolidation, that's the potential setup I'm going to be looking for on that inverse head and shoulders pattern. So at this point, I'm not going to enter a bull break. If we see an inside bar bull break, I might enter a position and then just be a little bit more cautious with it because it's not my ideal setup. Again, the goal is to let the trades come to you, not go hunting for trades and be over trading. So if I get my ideal setup of healthy consolidation and a higher low and then a bull break, I will be more aggressive and I will use more capital than if we, consolidated for an hour or two and then saw continuation. I might still make that play, but I could potentially take profit sooner and I could use a smaller position to accommodate for the fact that it's not the ideal setup of what I want to see happen. So that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin. Ethereum, I had some bids under 300 and bummed those didn't fill, but that's all right. So we have the weekly time frame dropping down, clear lower highs, lower lows. Very different setup than Bitcoin currently. The daily time frame was extremely oversold, down in the right around 20 and in the upper teens. Bullish reversal hammer is trying to form on this daily chart, and look at the daily chart, how many days in a row we've seen lower highs. And at this point, I'm not going to look exactly if they were all lower highs, but it was pretty much all lower highs or double tops. And we're talking 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 days of lower highs in a row. Very notable. 4-hour time frame is just going to set a lower high. So Ethereum is nowhere near changing the 4-hour trend comparative to where Bitcoin is. So unless we see a huge move and another 10% plus, we're not changing this trend anytime soon. We're going to bounce and set a lower high. We're going to look for a higher low and then a break of the downtrend. That's the only hope that the bulls have for this trend change. It's going to take longer to play out, in my opinion, than a potential Bitcoin change in trend might play out. Hourly time frame, inside bar forming, and we're going to be looking for a healthy consolidation on the 15-minute time frame, and we'll see if we can get some continuation there. If we lose, well, we don't even really have much of an uptrend to lose at this point. If we lose the 15-minute uptrend, we're going to look for the potential of our 4-hour lower high being set and re-entering consolidation. But we need to establish a base of support after this breakout, just like we need to do on Bitcoin. The Bitcoin bulls are trying to hold the upper 6,300s at this point. We'll see. I'm in no rush because I want to see that few hours at the bare minimum of consolidation from here. So Ethereum, again, 4-hour time frame has been my guide for the last week, and it's kept me from entering positions premature, trying to catch falling knives. So give me a change of trend on the 4-hour time frame, and that will be notable to me. So Iota on the USD chart here is clearly breaking support, and the next clear support, there's not a whole lot on the weekly. We're down at 495, and the next clear weekly support level was down at 325. There's a lot of space there. So the bears clearly in control with lower highs and lower lows on this weekly chart for the last couple of months. The daily chart has been all-out dump mode, oversold, trying a bullish reversal candlestick, but again, I'm always going to default to the 4-hour and say, are we changing any trends? And the answer is no. So that means remain patient. Couple resistance levels here, 656 and 6-7. And again, the distance that we are from those resistance levels makes it likely that we're just going to set a lower high on this bounce. Different setup than what we're seeing on Bitcoin. So nice follow through, the 4-hour RSI coming off from oversold. There's definitely, you know, an oversold bounce to be had there. We broke the hourly lower highs. That was a signal. We had not broken the hourly lower highs in quite some time. And as soon as we saw a bull break of 5212, that broke the lower highs. But again, longer term, unless you're just scalping and day trading, longer term, it's still being patient for the bulls to get that follow through. XLM USD on the weekly chart. This is the one we're looking at. We had that rumor about the Facebook news, and then turns out, you know, Facebook releases a statement, no, we're not working with them. But either way, we're watching for this weekly equilibrium to set up. We need more follow through on the daily for this to be our higher low of 19.4 and to be convincing on the weekly time frame. And the daily right now is trying for this higher low. So it was 19.4, higher low of 20, and we need a bull break of 2388. And if we get that bull break, we get the higher low and a break of the lower highs, and then we're convinced that weekly higher low has been set, and we look for the equilibrium to continue tightening up. So that's the clear daily level. 4-hour chart is not as clear. So everything else that I've looked at, I've loved the 4-hour setup for clarity, not the case for XLM. So I would make note on a piece of paper next to my computer, the main time frame that it's most clear, and I would say Bitcoin 4-hour, ETH 4-hour, IOTA 4-hour, XLM daily. So tightening pattern on the daily, little mini equilibrium there. EOS USD on the weekly time frame, bear flag confirmed, just like ETH and LTC. We're looking at the daily chart and a bullish reversal hammer from oversold conditions. Common theme in a couple names. 4-hour time frame, just another lower high. So I'm looking at clear resistance right there. That's the last lower high. That's up at 594. Anything under 594 is a lower high, and at this point, that is pretty much 15% away, and we're not likely to break that level. We need follow through, a higher low, and then a break of the lower highs. So some repetition here, and this is what I love about technical analysis. When you get good and comfortable at it, you can apply it anywhere. So the fact that I've already done analysis on these previous charts, I can whip right through EOS because it's doing the exact same thing as the other names I talked about, and we're not close to changing that 4-hour trend. NEO USDT weekly dumping down to lower lows. So this is obviously concerning with a lack of support anywhere nearby. And let's see, this is Binance Exchange. So I would want to go and double check a different exchange, Bitfinex, and see, okay, we do have some weekly supports back here, but not many, even on Bitfinex. 1319, 1656, a couple levels to be watching, but people were interested in Binance, so we'll go back to there. Daily bounce attempt, trying for that bullish reversal hammer from oversold conditions. I can tell without even looking at the 4-hour time frame, it's a lower high because this bounce in this wick is not significant enough. 4-hour lower high, anything compared to 2296, actually 23 is that level right there. So 23, whenever I have two resistance levels right next to each other, I will default to the higher one, because if we break the first one and not the second one, that's just a rejection from resistance. So it's all about 23. Anything under 23 is a lower high. And again, how far away are we from 23? Significantly, 25% plus. We are 25% away from breaking the last 4-hour lower high. So this bounce is not going to do so. And same thing as everybody else that we just looked at. So support, need that higher low to form on these names. We broke the hourly lower highs. That's the signal on these alts. Need to hold support of 1745. EOS hourly support that must hold is 482. We need a higher low compared to that level. And again, I would expect the bulls to put up some fight because of this move on the hourly time frames. But until you do it on the 4-hour, I'm not going to give you any benefit of the doubt, as the bears have been in such firm control. So I'm watching for a 15-minute equilibrium on Bitcoin right now. We're going to look at our high, our low, and a tightening range within this pattern. And if we get the bear, honestly, I'm looking for a bull move on Bitcoin and a bull entry, but I want to see a bear break of this 15-minute equilibrium. And I want to see further consolidation on the hourly and shorts build back up again to add a little bit more pressure when we do get a bull break of more people that are going to want to cover. And again, that's just ideal scenario. Sometimes your ideal scenario plays out and a perfect trade and perfect execution happens. It's obviously not like that every time. So if I do not get my ideal setup, I will adjust my game plan and I will adjust my position size and how long I'm going to hold that trade based on that as well. So that's where we stand. Again, the alerts are still in beta. We're transitioning over people from the old version to the new version, already members, and then we're going to open it up to everybody. And we are excited for the inlaid charts. and we will be doing some further work in terms of potential free trials eventually. That's, you know, a month or two down the road. So taking it slow and not boxing myself in with timelines, because developers can take all kinds of time depending on the task. Thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's see, we got a River Jam video, and as you can imagine, traveling through the backcountry in the woods by yourself with your buddies, nobody else around for many miles, lots of time to kill. What is more fun than playing some music? So we have a bunch of different jam videos from different scenery settings, and we'll look at those over the coming week or two. Do good things.
That's not true. Where's the bison? Let's go bison hunting.